So we have a lower gap opening. That has just filled right here. I'm going to check Twitter real quick, or X, as they call it today. You guys can be so kind to let me know if you can hear me as well as I believe my audio is on my end. Just give me a 5x5 on Twitter. Just tweet that to me. I'll know everything's good. If you can't hear it well, let me know that as well. I don't know. Because it sounds like it's really, really nice on my end. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Richard. YITT trades. Thank you so much. All right. So anyway, let's get back to it. The market had a rather small gap opening. It's less than 40 handles or so. So again, that's usually not all that exciting. Doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means it's not exciting. My interest still lies with sticking with the higher time frame because it's an election year, and because of that, I feel like they keep trying to inflate it to make it look like it's a public perspective. Is if the stock market's up, the economy's good. That doesn't correlate really. But I like this August 22nd daily high, and we have some smooth highs here that we'll look at. They left those intact last night. That's these over here. See that? So all this business here, I think, is in need of revisiting. So that's what I'm looking for today. Until proven wrong, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, no fair value gap has formed yet in the first few minutes of trading. You can't count this one. That's a 930 candle. And you probably noticed all this over here. This is all pre-session set up in this gray box here. That's yesterday's first presented fair value gap. So don't be confused. Don't think that that's today's. It's not. It's yesterday's. Now, if you're aggressive and you are okay with and comfortable with trading the less than 1 minute charts, and you have a bias, you can use the first presented fair value gap that's outside of the 930 1 minute candle. You notice that over here you can't use that one on the 1 minute chart. So this candlestick here, that starts with 931 candle right there. So this is a fair value gap. So this will be first presented fair value gap in the 15-second chart. You can see how it behaved here. Delivered to new opening gap studies, which are these levels here. I'll leave it to you to determine what they are based on yesterday's discussion. Had to put you on mute real quick. Almost sneezed in your ear. Rest in peace if you've been wearing headphones on that one. I got a lot of feedback from yesterday's live stream. They seemed to like it when it was just me annotating the chart and not saying anything. That's cool. But it wasn't that I was saying that people were complaining about how much I talk. It was the fact that they're complaining about not being able to hear me talk. And I don't know, I haven't done anything today differently, but it seems like the audio is a whole lot better. Small little gap there. This is your first presented fair value gap right here, which overlaps new date opening gap studies, which are these levels here. And real quick, I just want to show you. These relative equal highs. That's what the 214.75 level is. Doesn't have to trade there, but that's where my initial interest is. And then how we trade there. If we just go above it, reject it, that sets the stage for a run up into August 22nd, 24's old daily high, which would obviously have buy side resting above it. But this is just a higher time frame, trying not to pick the top of the marketplace level. So it's kind of like me submitting to the fact that I'm not trying to pick the top in NASDAQ. So if it's going to keep going higher, what would it reach for next if it's going to go above? These relative equal highs. August 22nd high would be an interesting area for me. We already swept this here. And let's take a quick look at that little wick. I apologize, I have seasonal allergies that I can't promise I'm going to be able to hit the mute button every time I have to do something like that. But it would annoy me, so I can sympathize for people that don't like to do things like that. But so you see the constant encroachment there. So whenever you're looking at old highs, it's real important that you're watching inside of these turning points, wherever there's a wick, go right to the midpoint of that and maintain your good until you otherwise wouldn't notice. You also notice that many times when I'm taking profits on trades, even if I'm looking for a level like 21.1475 as a run for buy side, if it has a wick like that, just below that, that would be a partial for me. Like I would start scaling out as it's entering into that mid gap or mid wick, which is a gap, and then wait for it to offer opportunity to give up to 214.75. That's how I use wicks for targeting our partials. All right, down inside the first percent of fair value gap of today. You can see a little bit more clear here on the 15-second chart. It just fell short of it just by a little bit. Which is like when you're reaching for a premium level, something above, always exit ahead of it. Always try to scale something out early. We're inside this fair value gap here.
Order submitted.
Mr. B,
Order filled.
Glad to see that you're encouraged. Not that we discard entirely the 930. If there's a
order submit. Order filled.
It's not on the 930 candle.
Order filled.
Now, if it wants to go higher, that first percent of fair value gap, if it's bullish, we want to see it trade into it and treat it as an inversion fair value gap. Otherwise, if we break below this one here, this could be treated as an inversion fair value gap to trade lower. But I'm sticking with the initial higher time frame. I'm not trying to pick the top, which is kind of along the lines that one of the ladies, the students that are following along on this mentorship, Kirsten follows Christ, I think it's who she goes by. She's very optimistic.
Order submitted. Order filled.
She mentioned how
order
she tries to
order
get the highs
filled.
high and the lows low, like I'm doing in my executions. And that's unfortunately that's not what you should be trying to focus right now. Trying to find trades
order filled.
Which is kind of what the silver bullet looks like.
Order submitted.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat. As we get closer to Thanksgiving, well, not that it will be live stream, but when we get closer to Halloween in that time of the year, seasonal rounds get pretty hard, so you'll have to put up with that. I apologize. So we're inside of the fair value gap over here, first percent fair value gap. We want to see it maintain its ability to stay in here and then work towards this high. That's what I would like to see personally. I'm subscribing to that view. I've submitted myself to that idea. But trying to find setups that are in between where you think it's going to go to the highest degree or to the lowest degree. They're generally like silver bullet type setups, which is why I gave that idea to my son Cameron, because he's a gamer, and to keep him from wanting to be perfect or striving to be perfect right out the gate, having a setup that affords him the luxury of just simply getting in something that's already in motion, as long as you can arrive at the correct bias of withdrawal liquidity, it's most likely going to trade to next. All right, so that's one of the things that Kirsten, I'm assuming I'm saying Kirsten correctly. You're not alone when you feel that way. You want to try to get in at the lowest low, because it feels like if you can't do that, then trading isn't being done correctly, and that's not true. It just means that someone that can do that, and most people can't do it. There's a lot of people that are profitable that never get to that degree. They just trade in the middle of the ranges, and they just stick with momentum trades. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. In fact, that's the best
order canceled,
because it removes a lot of the need to be right, and it's a thing that you, as you mentioned in your comments, and you're not the one like that either, because everybody feels plagued by that. They want to be right, and right is not
order submitted,
because you can be wrong and be profitable.
Order canceled. Order submitted.
So you can see how we fell short of reaching into that 20,214.75 level.
Order submitted.
We're inside of and now working the top of
order
the
submitted.
first fair value gap, which formed on the 933 candle.
Order filled.
We would want to see if it trades up above this high. We want to see it energetic speed, a lot of energy to get through that candlestick's wick, midpoint constant correction. And I personally want to see it just drive right on through 214.75 like it stole it. Like I want to see it just try to run away. Because again, my interest lies with that level up there. And it's just, again, it's just a higher time frame draw. There's nothing saying it needs to go here. It's just, it would confirm to me that the higher time frame still is in very much a buy program. And sticking to intraday longs would be the most appropriate. If you're going to trade with the largest leverage, it would be more appropriate to trade it on that side of the market versus shorting with the highest leverage. Not that you can't make money shorting. It just means that by removing the likelihood of having an over-leveraged trade on the wrong side of marketplace is theoretically less likely to occur if you do it that way. That's my thought process on it. Doesn't mean it's 100%. It just means that's how I go about doing it. All right, so we're making relative equal highs here. Trading that down into the first percent of the fair value gap. I'm going to remove the new day opening gap studies here because essentially the information that they're providing is no different than what the first percent of the fair value gap is, so it keeps the chart a bit cleaner. I gotta make sure I wasn't sure if I took you back off me or took myself back off me. Okay, looking down into constant correction, just past a little bit. That's all normal. We have this wick in here. As you're surveying price,
order filled.
turning point or every consolidation, always try to look for inefficiencies.
Reversing.
or a wick. If there's a long drawn out candlestick wick to the bottom of the candle or above the candle's high, always be mindful of that midpoint.
Reversing.
Because it gives you like a framework,
Order
not a framework, like a foothold or a handhold for price
order
to use.
filled.
And
Order
they're not the
submitted.
very strongest ones.
Order
The volume imbalance. The volume imbalance is
order
the
filled.
separation between these two candlesticks bodies right there. That's a volume imbalance. They're the weakest, and I say that not in a way that is derogatory. It's weakest in terms of allowing price to move back and forth through them. So I'm more flexible with them. They can be used as an entry model. For instance, we just went down constant encouragement. We had this one here, traded back below, and now we went down to there. You could use that as a foothold to trade up to relative equal highs, or it can go lower one more time and then use this at a later time. It's just how hard are you fixed on your immediate draw, what you're trying to trade on. I like to use them while I'm in a trade that is really working well for me. And if they start responding well in that, it gives me a lot of confidence holding on to the setup, especially if it's a large position. But they're the least in terms of rigidness. I guess the easiest way to describe it that way would be, whereas an order block is pretty standard that on a down close candle that was representing a bullish order block. That would be best seen with the opening price down to the mean threshold, which is the middle of the candlestick. I don't want to see anybody of another trading candle go lower than that. Preferably, I like to see it just touch the opening price and then stop right there and start going higher. That's a perfect delivery of a bullish order block. But for volume imbalances, they can be real flexible with them. And I've seen students that have, because everybody wants to pick their own specific PDA rate. They want to learn from you, but they want to have their own pathway into what PDA rate they're going to use. There's a fair gap here. You just straight out into it. That's institutional level entry here right there. They have their hearts broken basically because sometimes they expect the volume imbalances to be
Order filled.
Definitive about stopping price. And if I don't have them, and I'm the author of that concept of going in price action, if I don't hold that degree of importance over them, why should you? So it's not to be discouraging to you about it. It just means that you have to have the expectation that the characteristics around that specific PDA rate. You have flexibility is the key thing. All right, so we just bumped to roughly equal highs here, and we still haven't traded to the 20,214.75 level. You want to screenshot that, by the way, as I was talking about that volume imbalance. You can see how it behaved that way. Trade down to constant encouragement of the first sensitive area, trade back up and back down into that volume imbalance to the bottom side. That supports the volume imbalance. The wicks leave the damage is fine, and route up to the roughly equal highs. That could be your setup. That could be your model. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't think that you have to have the low of a run or a high of a run, and you're somehow not smart money, or that you're not doing what I'm teaching correctly. You are. You're just looking for your segment of price action that means something to you, that you can see it forming and you trust it. Once you get comfortable with it and you just give yourself the freedom to get in here and have fun studying, you'll see your setup. If you're forcing something, it has to be this thing. It's going to be hard for you. So by relaxing and letting it come to you, you'll do better. I'm just forcing Caleb to use the fair I got because he can see them. He's not correct in picking them accurately all the time. But let me take this off here. That was a pre-session trade. This is the thing that you get messed up about, right, Kirsten? You want to get the lows, you get out here. For analysis, leave that for ICT. You just worry about the things that we're just outlining over here, the middle pieces. Using the first percent of fair value gap, the volume balance right there. That fair value gap I mentioned to you. That's what's there.
Order submitted.
Institutional order entry drill, which is a partial entry into the fair value gap when there is relative equal highs and a buy side liquidity. Also,
Order
that's
submitted.
Easy grading train type setup. Easy. And obviously, it's never ever not be play. So now let's see if we can trade to. I'm going to be salty today in the comments. I have to escape at 10:30 today, so to make sure that you had some candy, I had to work with the morning session early on. But as you can see live, you can see I'm painting it for you. So in a perfect world, I would like to see it not lose ground and go below this fair value gap. Okay, so what I'm saying here is these relative equal highs, we're going to take this off now. Okay, and this is that wick that I had over here on this time frame. That's this candlestick's premium constant encouragement wick right over here. It's a long way around the barn here. Come on. Good grief. I thought it was a couple doors down. This thing's like in another neighborhood. There you go. On a 5-minute chart, all these candlesticks here is a wick. That's that right there. See? So since we're above it now, we don't need to worry with it. You clean your chart off. And because we're above that old 20,214.75 level, we are accumulating in here, which is exactly what you want to see. And as I mentioned, I don't want to see it trade below this, so this would be represented by hopefully a breakaway gap that would lead to a run above that 214.75 level, and see if we can run up into the August 22nd high, and that would make a beautiful session this morning. I could close it and go get myself prepared for my appointment a little bit earlier. But this, if you were in a long, you would be wanting to take profits as you're engaging that 22nd high, like that right there in the real nice area. You'll start distributing some of your long position. And any remaining portion should have it stop below here. You should have no reason for it to go back down unless it wants to go lower. And taking profits as we're approaching the target is always sound logic.
Order canceled. Order submitted.
So again, think about how we were talking about the first percent fair value gap. When we traded down, relaxing, not forcing anything, the market traded down into the 930. This is a 15-second chart. That's this. That gap there. So we traded down there. We weren't freaking out. We gave the market the opportunity to show us what it wants to do. Our bias, well, my bias that I shared with you was the 20,214.75 level. And then on the best case scenario, drawing to August 22nd high, which we don't need that. But because we have two pools of liquidity there, it's reasonable to expect it to try to make an attempt to get there. It need not get there entirely to this high, but we think that it's logical to start looking for setups that would be used for something like that. That means when the market did drop down here, did it spend a lot of time inside that gap? Remember I was teaching the last few times we were in live stream? Inefficiencies, you don't want to see it staying inside the inefficiency and you're camping out. We don't want it staying in there making lots of candlesticks forming inside the inefficiency, because if the market's being delivered to that inefficiency, the algo is letting price get there for a moment because smart money should already be expecting it to trade down there to onboard new long positions. I gave you the process of thinking, let it get back to the first percent of fair value gap, trade above it, and trade it as what? Inversion. That's how you would use the first percent of fair value gap today with this market structure. I was not ambiguous about it. The only thing I said was, give it a chance, because if it fails here and doesn't go higher, then if it goes lower, this will be treated as inversion fair value gap. And we'll have to worry about this at a later time. But if it rallies back up to this one, it needs to go above it. Come back down in. Look at the bodies. That's the upper quadrant of that inefficiency. Let's see if it wants to trade it at August 22nd first, before I start stripping down a little bit more detail. While we're looking to see if it'll do it, this over here was just simply me using a 1 minute sell sign efficiency and in close proximity to yesterday's first presented fair value gap. So I was thinking that they were using it here, and retail sees these things like this as support. I want to get in there as it goes down below it and trade right into that little inefficiency there. So that was my entry, expecting it to trade up into perfect scenario would be trading up to August 22nd high. But this admittedly was where I was looking to bail. And if it goes here up to August 22nd high or higher, wonderful. It's a moral victory for me. It's not something I have to profit on. It just means that I have to have an exit strategy before that. If you don't have an exit strategy before your ultimate terminus or your target, you're probably going to fall victim to emotions and lose sight of what you're trading. And that's a terrible thing. Terrible thing to see something that would have otherwise been profitable if you would have been scaling out while it's moving in your favor as it's getting close to your terminus. Terminus is where you think it ultimately goes to. If that's your final target, you'd have everything off the trade, even if you took partials along the way. Terminus would be, you have nothing left of the position on at that point. It's a full closure of whatever's remaining open. So my terminus for the trade is this, because I'm not holding a hard opinion that it has to get to this point here today for me, because I have an appointment I have to meet, and I can't guarantee that the market's going to move that far in the short period of time that I'm sitting from chart today. So having 20,214.75, which is a logical level if you look at it on the 1 minute chart, they're relatively equal highs. They're right there. So Tuesday's noon hour, those relatively equal highs was the level I was looking for, with additional expectation that August 22nd high would be a likely draw. And when you have a bias like that, Kirsten, as we're showing here live, as long as you know what the market's most likely, I'm going to get it wrong eventually. I'll sit out here with you guys, and eventually I'll expect it to go a direction, and it won't do it. I'm anticipating it happen, okay? Because they're not going to let me just sit out here every day and do it perfectly. Trust me, that's not going to happen. So, day. Go Phil. The return back into this first fair value gap. I understand that people, when they see me describe this stuff, because it's not something that they can reach over here and say, oh, he's just borrowing from here. It's not something anywhere else. So when I'm looking at inefficiencies, I'm looking at these inefficiencies in the broad perspective of how it's going to be used as a narrative. That's the main thing I want you to hear in my delivery today, is that number one, I'm absolutely calm about what I expect to see. I'm not hopped up on goofballs. I'm not scared about being wrong. I know what it's likely to do based on what it's showing me. But, contrast that with what we were watching live on Monday, where I knew for certain that I was going to be executing if I did in Seek and Destroy, because we were spending time in every inefficiency that formed. It just stayed inside of it, consolidating. And that is the truest fashion for you to say, okay, we're probably going to be in a unfavorable market, which could eventually trade to a Seek and Destroy day, where every high gets taken out, every low gets taken out. That's what Seek and Destroy is. Okay, and there you go. Boom, screenshot that. So insert Brad Pitt dancing. Yeah, unlucky again. How about it? Unlucky. It's your birthday. Go ICT. So anyway, it's real hard to argue now, folks. Okay, it really is hard to argue. I know some of you heard stories about how I did this stuff on daily with the private mentorship group for years, and it didn't start off that way in the beginning, because I was teaching them how I was teaching initially in the beginning of this 2024 mentorship, where we're just sitting there and we're watching the charts, just watching price. If you don't have any interest in doing that, you're never going to learn how to do this well. And I don't know how to say it any better than that. And I'm going to spend about 5 minutes giving you an exit monologue, and I'm going to close the stream. Okay, but it's real important that you understand that spending time over the charts without any demand of what you think it should do, just observing what patterns that repeat around certain times of the day. What do we see? What do we see around the first 30 minutes? What do we see after 10 o'clock starts? How is that first presented fair value gap that's not formed on the 9:30 candle? How is it used? You may not know where the market's likely to draw to in advance. You may not know those things. And it's okay that you don't know them in the beginning, because your repetition of being in front of the charts, hearing me describe what I think is going to happen, I'm lending you, just like I lent it to my private mentorship students who paid me, and I did this stuff with a high 90% accuracy every single day. You're all getting experience of that right now. You're seeing it. And it won't happen for you where you're that accurate all the time for a while. I don't know how long it's going to take for you. Some of you that send comments to me, and you're asking very sincerely, how long do you think it'll take me to learn how to do this? I need to make money. I'm in dire straits. Well, you have to fix that mindset, because I can't guarantee that you're going to be profitable. And any mentor that says that, you shouldn't pay any mind to them. Leave them. I'm trying to be as responsible as I can as a Christian, as a human being, as a man, as a teacher, as a mentor. I can't promise you that you're going to be profitable, because you can still mess it up. I could be in front of you today calling every single thing like I did here, and you do something incorrectly in your own hands and lose money. I've watched that happen. I've watched people do things that were not equipped, because they were over leveraged, or it started moving in their favor, but then they put a stop loss in too tight and they get stopped out. And then they go back in trying to do something immediately, over leveraging, and then stopped out again, and now they're in a losing day. But they're watching a called market live, and they see it trading to the targets. That's very frustrating for me. So I can't hold your hands back, and I can't try to convince you any more than I do already. You just have to give yourself the patience, develop that patience of, you'll see it work. Trust me. If you spend enough time in the charts studying and looking for it, once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't diminish it. You can't discount it. But it's a hard place to get to initially, because especially with my personality and what people's opinions are about me, I'm labeled a fraud, I'm labeled this, I'm labeled that. And it's amazing how these individuals that say that, they're not paying attention to what's being shown here live. Like they don't see it. Because that's so prevailing in the community, the training community around me, I'm polarizing. You're already wrestling with, it's probably not going to work. And you're looking for anything to be able to justify why you should not spend any time doing it. For some of you, that's going to be a very hard thing to get through. But I promise you this, if you dig your heels down and you're not swiping your credit card to watch me do this, and I'm not forcing you to come back to my live streams, you can watch it whenever you want to watch it, but you're watching it live and you see it. So that should be an encouragement to you, because I can promise you this, I am not a mental giant, okay? I'm not a genius. I'm not something above and beyond what any of you that are watching can do. If you can see these candlesticks and you have vision and you know what time it is and you can recognize the fair value gap and you can see relative equal highs and where daily highs and lows are, you can do everything I did today. Everything I did today is within your grasp. Anyone that tells you you can't, or that it's nonsense or it's contrived, they have a really hard argument to make when you see it being done consistently. Like it's to me, I would be very encouraged if I could watch someone do this for free and then say, hey, look, keep coming back and you're gonna learn how to do this too by repetition. So, quick little summary here. The initial run, that is not a juice swing. It's just simply, it's trying to get somewhere. And it was going to go to that 214.75 level because they're smooth highs. They left them in place yesterday. And then this gap, while it's not considered the first percent of fair value gap, by definition, it is a fair value gap. So
Order canceled.
But this is the first percent of fair value gap. So what's the difference? First percent of fair value gap is going to be utilized for a signal or a setup that my son will use. So this is where Caleb takes his trade. Later on, when he gets better at looking at information in price action, he may take this long here and then add to it here. But his father is telling him this is how you're going to use it. If it's down here, okay, it was already get down there. That means it repriced there. So it offered the sell side in that little area. It did not spend a lot of time there. These are 1 minute candles. So it went down, one more candle, and then on the third candle, it's leaving. Elvis has left the building. And while we're down here, I said, we want to see it. It's going to be bullish. It's going to trade up to the first percent of the fair value gap, trade above it, and come back down. Is that not what the chart shows you? Did you watch it live in your own data feed? Did you see that happen there? Did I have somehow gained control over the CME and the data?
Order
canceled. I can
canceled.
manipulate the price that goes in everybody's computers and screens all around the world. Everybody sees the same thing. I have the ability to do that, like Dr. Xavier or Professor Xavier. I can cerebral and cause everybody to see the same thing. I mean, some of you guys give me too much credit. So looking at that little inefficiency there, I'll say this and then we're done. This candle's high. That candle's low. By the way, I was noticing that the likes on the live streams, they're really low. I'm not sure if I'm entertaining you guys or not. If you're not learning something, I certainly don't want to waste your time. But if you're finding it valuable, one of the biggest things to do to encourage me is to give a thumbs up. It doesn't give me any more money. It's not a necessity because I'm going to still do it. Nobody puts a thumbs up because I'm teaching to my son. But I like to see that feedback because I take it as I saw it live. That's what I think that thumb up should be. Like that's you saying I was witness, I saw it. I was here live. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to do it because some people just don't want to do it. But here's the lower quadrant of that inefficiency here. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It spikes down with its wick, leaves what? This drop back down and leaves the lower portion untouched. Yes, we traded to it here. Yes, we trade up through the lower quadrant here. But what I said was when we're down here, it needs to trade up through it and go above it and come back down into it. So when it's diving down into it, you gotta look at that. This is the first time it's using it as what? Inversion. So it's going to do what? In a perfect world, leave the lower half untouched. Well, it trades down to the lower quadrant, but it leaves the lowest portion open. That's exactly what you're looking for inversion fair value gap. This is the signature that the algorithm is absolutely going to send it higher. There's no ambiguous confliction. There's no argument about it. It is absolutely telling you that that's exactly what you expect. And then the bodies stay where? In the upper half from that red level here up to the top. In other words, at 20,179 to 184.75, the bodies are perfect if they're inside that range, which is the upper half of that orange box. That's represented by this candlestick's low and this candlestick's high. And then we use the upper quadrant level 2 and then sends it. I love that you guys can see it. What irritates me is people that try to, they lie and they say this is found somewhere else or I copied it from this one and that one. My question is just, can you please show us, please, without any confusion about it, show us what book, what page number, what author, what teacher was doing all this stuff before 1996. I promise you're not going to find it. I promise you. And instead of doing all that drama stuff, just pull up a chair, grab some note-taking instruments, and just join us. You can do it anonymously. You don't have to say that you're learning from me. But I promise you, if you spend time with me, you're going to learn things that you never would have learned. You'll be able to see price action better than anyone else is going to teach you. You'll be able to be calm about it. You'll be comfortable. You won't be antsy. Your heart won't be racing. You won't have anxiety attacks and heart palpitations. And it makes it fun. It's almost like meditation because you know what it's likely to do. And when you see it over and over again for decades, it's just like anything else. It's like anything else that you do that as a hobby or a pastime that you do at home. You know it well. And these things I'm teaching are something that you absolutely can learn how to do. And once you learn them, they're like riding a bike. As long as you keep your mental faculties to yourself and your health is good, and you're not distracting yourself with high pulsing music and things that are coming out of your room when you're studying. Have an area where you're studying with no distractions. No one's saying, hey, can you help me with this? Or daddy, can you do this? Or mommy, can you do that? Afford yourself some time. Because how you invest in your study time doing this is going to yield huge dividends. But if you're doing it half-heartedly, or if you're doing it when you're distracted or tired, if you're fatigued, you're not doing it right. And that might mean that you can only study a few times a week, not every day. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's about the quality, not the quantity of your study. How well are you studying? How well are you annotating your charts? How well are you keeping your journal? Because if you're doing it rushed, if you're trying to just breeze right through it, you're not going to get the results you're looking for, and you're going to be frustrated. And that's the last thing I want to see any of you do. Because I promise you, if I didn't believe that you could learn how to do this, if I couldn't do this, I wouldn't be out here doing it live in front of you. I'd be afraid. I'd be hiding somewhere. I'd be off of Twitter. I'd be off of social media hiding under a rock somewhere. And you don't see that, do you? Because I want to see you do well. Things are about to get really hard. And if you can start making a little bit extra money by doing this, I'm not saying that you will, but if you can, imagine the ease, the weight off your shoulders. And that would bring me such a wonderful peace of mind knowing that if you took the time to reach out to me and say, thank you, I've invested the time learning what you showed because now I'm able to do this when everything's so hard. Thank you. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see those testimonies. I want that. Not I went and bought a game. Not that I went and bought a toy. That's not what I'm doing this for. So I had fun today. Real short and sweet.
Order
I have a
submitted.
off here. I will not make it. So study, obviously, and We'll be back at it again tomorrow.
Order
same time, same ICT
submitted.
channel. Lord willing, until then, be safe.